Poor black girl dances at talent show to save mom, unaware the judge is her father. The envelope trembled in Tiana Brooks' hands as she stood frozen in the cramped hallway of their apartment building. The bold red letters spelling, "Final Notice," seemed to pulsate against the white paper. 60 days behind on rent, and now this, an eviction warning giving them just 2 weeks to pay or leave. Outside, rain lashed against the windows, matching the storm brewing inside her chest. "Not today," she whispered, folding the notice into her pocket before unlocking the door. "Mom can't know. Not yet." Inside their small 2-bedroom apartment, the familiar scent of medicinal ointments mingled with the lavender air freshener Tiana had splurged on last month, a small luxury to make their home feel less like the extension of a hospital room it had become. She plastered on a smile before entering her mother's bedroom. "Hey, Mom. How was your day?" Tiana asked, setting down her backpack and immediately moving to check the 4-drip the home care nurse had set up that morning. Monica Brooks looked up from her book, her smile illuminating a face grown gaunt over months of treatment. At 36, illness had aged her prematurely, but nothing could dim the warmth in her eyes when she looked at her daughter. "Better now that you're home. How was school? And the library? You're back later than usual." Monica shifted, wincing slightly as she adjusted her position. Tiana busied herself with straightening the bedsheets, avoiding her mother's gaze. The truth was, she hadn't been at the library. After her shift at Daly's Diner, she'd spent 2 hours in an abandoned warehouse space with other dancers from the neighborhood, practicing until her muscles screamed and sweat soaked through her clothes. "School was fine. Mr. Patterson says my physics grades are improving," she answered, omitting that she'd nearly fallen asleep during the test after staying up all night to finish a paper, time she didn't have because of her secret dance sessions. Monica reached for Tiana's hand. "You're working too hard, baby. Between school and that diner job." "I'm fine, Mom." Tiana squeezed her hand. "Besides, we Brooks women are built tough, right?" The sound of Tiana's phone interrupted their moment. She pulled it out, her heart skipping as she read the notification. "Langford Academy Talent Search, applications closing tonight." "What is it?" Monica asked, noticing the change in her daughter's expression. Tiana hesitated. "Nothing important." She slipped the phone back into her pocket. "I'm going to make dinner. The nurse left chicken soup in the fridge." In the kitchenette, Tiana leaned against the counter, pulling up the application again. The Langford Academy Talent Search wasn't just any competition. It was the opportunity, a full scholarship to the prestigious Langford Academy of Dance plus $20,000 in prize money. Money that could clear their medical debt, pay the overdue rent, and give them breathing room for the first time in years. As the soup heated, Tiana pulled out her worn sneakers from her backpack. The soles were thinning, held together by duct tape on one side. Not exactly professional dance shoes, but they'd have to do. She traced the faded signature on the side, a gift from her old dance teacher before the community center closed down. Her phone buzzed again with a text from Deja, her best friend. "Did you apply yet? Deadline's midnight. You're the best dancer in the city and you know it." Tiana glanced toward her mother's room, guilt and longing warring inside her. Dancing had been her escape since she was little, but she'd put aside those dreams when Monica first got sick. How could she justify spending time in studios when her mother needed her? When bills needed paying? But now, with eviction looming and medical debts mounting, maybe dancing wasn't just an escape, maybe it was their only way out. After dinner and making sure Monica took her medication, Tiana retreated to her tiny bedroom. From under her bed, she pulled out a shoebox containing newspaper clippings about Leonard Langford, founder of the Academy and one of the judges for the competition. A celebrated choreographer who'd risen from humble beginnings in this very city to international acclaim. "The same city," she murmured, studying a photo of him. "Maybe that counts for something." With trembling fingers, she completed the online application, attaching a video she'd recorded in secret at the warehouse. A freestyle fusion of contemporary and lyrical dance set to a hauntingly stripped-down cover of Rise Up. After hitting submit, she pulled out her mother's old dance journal from the box, one of the few keepsakes Monica had held onto from her previous life, as she called it. Tiana rarely looked through it, respecting her mother's privacy, but tonight something drew her to the faded pages. She flipped through choreography notes and old performance programs until a photo slipped out, younger Monica in a dance studio, beaming at someone off camera, her hand resting on a slightly swollen belly. Tiana had never seen this picture before. She turned it over, finding a date scrawled in her mother's handwriting and a single word. Almost. Her phone pinged with a confirmation email. Thank you for your application to the Langford Academy Talent Search. Preliminary auditions begin next Tuesday. 6 days. She had 6 days to prepare for the audition that could change everything. A sudden coughing fit from her mother's room had Tiana shoving everything back into the box. As she rushed to Monica's side, the eviction notice crinkled in her pocket, a reminder of exactly what was at stake. This wasn't just about dancing anymore. It was about survival. Just water, Monica rasped as Tiana helped her sip from a glass. Bad dream. Looking at her mother's frail form, Tiana made a silent promise. She would win this competition. She had to. What she couldn't know, was that when she stepped onto that stage next Tuesday, she would be dancing for more than just money and a scholarship. She would be dancing for the attention of the father she never knew she had, a father who had no idea she existed. In an office across town, Leonard Langford reviewed the day's applications on his tablet, pausing briefly on Tiana Brooks' submission before moving on, unaware that his life was about to collide with the past he'd left behind 16 years ago. The Langford Academy auditorium buzzed with nervous energy as dancers stretched, practiced last-minute moves, and sized up their competition. Backstage, Tiana stood alone in a corner, eyes closed, visualizing her routine. She wore simple black leggings and a faded blue tank top, a stark contrast to the designer dancewear surrounding her. "Number 47, you're on deck," called a production assistant, barely looking up from her clipboard. Tiana's stomach clenched. She'd been practicing in warehouses and empty parking lots since the application, squeezing in sessions between school and shifts at dailies. Yesterday, she told her boss she needed the morning off, a risk that could cost her the job she desperately needed. "Your shoes are literally falling apart," remarked a voice behind her. A girl with a sleek bun and pristine white dance shoes looked Tiana up and down. "You know this isn't a charity case competition, right? They want real dancers." Tiana straightened her spine. "Then I guess they'll be happy when I dance for real." As she moved toward the stage entrance, her phone vibrated. A text from Deja. "The community center set up a stream for your mom to watch. She's ready." Attached was a photo of Monica propped up in her hospital bed, a nurse helping her hold a tablet. The sight gave Tiana strength and terror in equal measure. No pressure, just her mother watching her dance for the first time in years, with their entire future hanging in the balance. "Number 47, Tiana Brooks," announced a voice over the loudspeaker. Inside the auditorium, Leonard Langford sat between two other judges, reviewing notes from previous contestants. At 42, he carried the confident air of someone who had transformed their art into an empire. The Langford Academy was his legacy, a place that discovered raw talent and molded it into greatness. "Brooks, that's the girl from the East Side Community Program, correct?" asked Marianne Wells, the judge to his right, a former prima ballerina known for her exactitude. Leonard nodded absently. "Yes, no formal training according to her application. Freestyle fusion piece." The third judge, Derek Washington, chuckled. $50 says she doesn't make it past the first cut. These street dancers never understand technique. "We'll see," Leonard murmured, uncapping his pen as the house lights dimmed. Tiana took center stage, the harsh spotlight momentarily blinding her. The polished wooden floor felt foreign beneath her worn shoes. She closed her eyes, found her center, and nodded to the technician. The first haunting notes of the piano filled the space. Tiana began to move. What started as subtle, controlled movements quickly evolved into something raw and visceral. Her body told a story of struggle, of rising, of carrying burdens too heavy for young shoulders. Every gesture held meaning, fingers reaching skyward before being pulled back to earth, as if by invisible weights. Leonard's pen hovered over his notepad, forgotten. Something about the girl's movements struck a chord deep within him. It wasn't just her undeniable talent, it was specific transitions, particular ways her hands expressed emotion that seemed familiar. Halfway through her routine, Tiana incorporated a signature sequence, a move her mother had taught her years ago. A flowing turn that melted into a controlled fall, followed by a phoenix-like rise. "This was my favorite combination," Monica had told her once, during a rare good day when they'd cleared the living room furniture to dance together. "My teacher said it was like watching someone fall apart and rebuild themselves in seconds." In the hospital room across town, Monica gasped as she watched her daughter execute the sequence perfectly. "No," she whispered, eyes darting to the judge's table visible in the corner of the frame. "That's..." She couldn't finish her sentence as recognition and panic washed over her face. Back at the auditorium, Leonard's pen clattered to the floor. His mind flashed to another dancer, another time, a young woman performing that exact sequence in a small studio 16 years ago. The woman he'd taught it to. The woman he'd loved. The woman who'd disappeared without a trace. As Tiana finished her routine, ending in perfect stillness with a single tear tracking down her cheek, the audience erupted in applause. The other judges were already scribbling notes, but Leonard remained frozen, staring at the girl as though seeing a ghost. "Remarkable talent," Marianne commented. "Raw, but there's something there." "Unconventional," Derek countered. "But I admit I'm impressed." Leonard barely heard them. As Tiana took her bow and exited the stage, he pulled out his phone and typed a name he hadn't searched in years: Monica Brooks. Meanwhile, in her hospital room, Monica was frantically texting Deja. "Don't let her give them my full name if they ask. Please. It's important." But it was already too late. The ghost of a love abandoned had already begun haunting both ends of a connection 16 years broken, and neither father nor daughter knew how quickly their worlds were about to change. "Did you see Langford's face?" The whispers followed Tiana through the academy hallways the next morning. She made it past the first round, one of only 23 dancers selected from over 100 applicants. Tiana clutched the callback sheet, still unable to believe her name was on it. After her performance yesterday, she'd barely had time to process anything before rushing to her shift at Daly's. She'd served burgers until midnight with her feet screaming in pain, then studied for a history test until her eyes could no longer focus. "It's the Brooks girl," said a voice as she passed the group of dancers. "The one with the duct-taped shoes. I heard she's never had proper training," another replied. "Just some community center classes." "Then how did she make callbacks?" "My cousin's been training with private coaches since she was 4, and she got cut." Tiana kept walking, head high despite the hollow feeling in her stomach. She'd been so focused on getting through the audition that she hadn't planned for success. Now a new anxiety gripped her. She only had 2 days to prepare for the semifinals, and no proper rehearsal space. Inside the academy's administrative office, Leonard Langford scrolled through application forms on his tablet. He'd barely slept, haunted by the girl's performance, and the memories it had dredged up. "You wanted to see me?" Jessica Pearson, his assistant of 8 years, appeared in the doorway. "Yes. The Brooks girl, number 47 from yesterday's auditions. I need everything we have on her." Jessica raised an eyebrow. "That's irregular, Leonard. The panel reviews contestants together. This isn't about the competition," he said, though he wasn't entirely sure that was true. "There was something familiar about her technique. I want to know where she trained." According to her application, mostly self-taught with some classes at the East Side Community Center before it closed. Jessica replied, checking her notes. "No formal academy experience." Leonard frowned. "That's impossible. The sequence she performed." He stopped himself. "What about her parents? Any background there?" "Just a mother. Monica Brooks. No father listed." Jessica handed him a printout of Tiana's sparse application. "There's not much here, honestly, Most of our applicants have portfolios, training histories, recommendation letters. She submitted only the basics and her video. The name landed like a stone in Leonard's stomach. Monica Brooks. After all these years. Is there an address? Contact information? Jessica's frown deepened. Leonard, what's this about? You know we have policies about. It's personal, Jess. Please. Reluctantly, she pointed to the information on the form. That's all we have. A phone number and an apartment address in Westfield Heights. After Jessica left, Leonard pulled up an internet search for Monica Brooks, finding nothing recent. No social media, no public records newer than 5 years ago. It was as if she'd deliberately vanished from the digital world. He checked the time, 2 hours until his next meeting. Enough time to drive across town. Meanwhile, Tiana sat in a quiet corner of the academy's lobby, phone pressed to her ear. The semi-final routine needs to be different, Mom, she explained. They want to see range. I was thinking about using that combination you taught me, the one about rebuilding. On the other end, Monica's voice sounded strained. Tiana, listen to me. Maybe this competition isn't the right one. There are others we could try. Others without a $20,000 prize, Tiana countered. Mom, we need this money. The eviction notice. What eviction notice? Monica's voice sharpened. Tiana closed her eyes, cursing herself. It's nothing I can't handle. Tiana Brooks, you tell me the truth right now. We're 2 months behind on rent, she admitted quietly. They're giving us 2 weeks before they start proceedings. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Mom? Are you still there? I'm here, baby. Monica finally responded, her voice thick. But I need you to understand something. Sometimes the price of help is too high. Before Tiana could ask what she meant, a nurse interrupted, telling Monica it was time for her treatment. I have to go, Monica said. Promise me something. If anyone at that academy asks about me, about us, be vague. It's important. The call ended, leaving Tiana confused and unsettled. Across town, Leonard pulled into the parking lot of Mercy Hospital, following a hunch. If Monica was as sick as his research suggested, there would be records here. He made a substantial donation to their new oncology wing last year, enough that the administrative staff knew him by name. Mr. Langford! What an unexpected pleasure, greeted the hospital director. Here to see how your donation is helping? Actually, I'm trying to locate a patient, Monica Brooks. It's rather important. The director's smile faltered. I can't disclose patient information, but I can say we have several patients who wouldn't be receiving care without the scholarship program your donation established. Leonard caught the hint. Any particularly memorable cases? Single mothers, perhaps? With talented daughters? The director glanced around before lowering her voice. There's one mother, been fighting for years. Her daughter works multiple jobs, still can't cover the bills. Heartbreaking case. The girl's trying to win some dance competition to save them both. In that moment, Leonard knew. The connection he'd felt watching Tiana dance wasn't imagination. Pieces were falling into place, creating a picture he wasn't sure he was ready to see. The night before the semi-final round, a black luxury sedan pulled up outside a dilapidated building in the east side. The faded sign above the door read, Harmony Dance Studio, with a smaller line underneath. Community classes available. Most of the windows were dark, but a single light glowed from the back room. Leonard sat in his car, staring at the building. This was where Tiana had listed her training, what remained of the once thriving community arts center where he'd volunteered as a young choreographer before his career took off. Before Monica. The memory hit him with unexpected force, teaching evening classes here, spotting a young woman with extraordinary natural talent but no formal training. Taking her under his wing. Falling in love during late-night rehearsals while dreaming of building something together. Then came the offer from New York. His big break. The fight. Her refusal to leave her sick mother behind to follow him. His ultimatum, his career or their relationship. The way she'd looked at him when she said, Some things matter more than ambition, Leonard. The way he'd walked away, telling himself she'd change her mind. She never did. 16 years. Had it really been that long? Leonard finally stepped out of his car and approached the building. The door was unlocked, opening to reveal a modest reception area with mismatched furniture and walls covered in faded performance photos and student artwork. "We're closed," called a voice from the back. "Classes start again Monday." Leonard followed the voice to find an older woman arranging music books on a shelf. She turned, recognition flashing across her weathered face. "Well, I'll be damned." Leonard Langford himself. She didn't sound impressed. "Slumming it on the east side?" "Ms. Ruby," he acknowledged with a nod. "It's been a while." Ruby Watson had been running the community program when he'd volunteered here. Even then, she'd been a force of nature, a retired dancer who refused to let budget cuts destroy arts education in underserved communities. 17 years, but who's counting? She crossed her arms. What brings the great Leonard Langford back to his humble beginnings? Writing another check to ease your conscience? Leonard ignored the barb. "I'm here about a student of yours. Tiana Brooks." Something flickered in Ruby's eyes. "What about her?" "She's a semi-finalist in the Academy competition." Leonard moved deeper into the studio, scanning the walls. "Her technique is remarkable, especially for someone with limited training. That girl has more raw talent than most of your polished Academy students," Ruby replied defensively. "And twice the heart." "I don't doubt it." Leonard paused before a bulletin board filled with photographs. "Her mother was Monica Brooks, wasn't she?" Ruby went still. "You already know the answer to that." "What I don't know," Leonard said carefully, "is why Monica never told me about our daughter." The words hung in the air between them. Ruby said nothing, but her eyes conveyed volumes. "It is my daughter, isn't it?" Leonard's voice cracked slightly. "Tiana is mine." Ruby sighed heavily, moving to a filing cabinet in the corner. She pulled out a dusty photo album and set it on a small table. "Sit down, Leonard." He obeyed, and she opened the album to a page with a faded photograph, a pregnant Monica teaching a children's class, her hand resting protectively over her swollen belly. The date on the bottom, 16 years ago, 3 months after he'd left for New York. "She never wanted you to know," Ruby said quietly. "She said you made your choice, and it wasn't her or the baby." Leonard's fingers hovered over the photo, not quite touching it. "Why didn't she ask for help? For money, at least?" Ruby laughed bitterly. "You really don't know Monica at all, do you? She has more pride than sense sometimes. Said she wouldn't have her child be an obligation to a man who didn't want the responsibility. But I never knew," Leonard protested. "How could I want or not want a responsibility I didn't know existed? Would it have changed anything?" Ruby challenged. "Would you have given up New York? Your career? The great Leonard Langford empire?" The question hit him like a physical blow. Would he have? He honestly didn't know. "She's been sick for years," Ruby continued. "That girl has been holding everything together, school, jobs, her mother's care. Dancing kept her sane. When the community center closed, she'd practice in parking lots, abandoned buildings, anywhere she could find. And now she's dancing on your stage, not knowing the man judging her is the same one who left her mother." Leonard closed his eyes, the weight of 16 lost years pressing down on him. "The semifinals are tomorrow. The finals the day after. What do I do, Ruby?" "That depends," she replied, closing the album. "Are you still the ambitious young man who walks away when things get complicated? Or have you learned that some things matter more than success?" Before Leonard could answer, his phone buzzed. A text from Jessica, call from Monica Brooks. Insistent. Says to tell you she knows you're looking for her and to leave Tiana out of it. "She's called the Academy," Leonard said, showing Ruby the message. Ruby nodded, unsurprised. "Monica always could sense trouble coming. Listen carefully, Leonard. That girl needs that scholarship and prize money, but not at the cost of her dignity. If you're going to acknowledge her now, After all these years, you'd better be damn sure it's not out of guilt or obligation. Leonard stood, suddenly feeling the need for air. I need to speak with Monica before the semifinals. And say what? Ruby challenged. That you're sorry? That you would have been there if you'd known? Words won't make up for 16 years, Leonard. No, he agreed quietly. But they might be a place to start. As he left the studio, the weight of his discovery settled over him. Somewhere in this city was the daughter he never knew he had, preparing to dance for her future, unaware that the judge holding her fate in his hands was the father who had never been there. The Langford Academy auditorium hummed with anticipation on finals night. 5 dancers remained from the original 100, and Tiana was the only one without formal training. Backstage, she pressed her phone to her ear, trying to reach her mother. She checked herself out against medical advice. The nurse explained. Said there was somewhere she needed to be. I'm sorry, but it's okay. Tiana interrupted, trying to keep her voice steady. Thank you. She ended the call, panic rising in her chest. Her mother had never missed any important moment in her life, despite her illness. Something was wrong. A text from Deja appeared. Don't worry. Got her. Bringing her now. She says dance your heart out. Relief washed over Tiana, quickly replaced by renewed tension. Tonight was everything, their future balanced on this single performance. She named her final piece. Unspoken, a tribute to all her mother had sacrificed for her. In the judges' area, Leonard sat motionless, his thoughts a storm. After his discovery at Ruby's studio, he tried calling Monica repeatedly with no success. The semi-finals had passed in a blur, Tiana advancing easily, her raw talent undeniable even to the most critical judges. He'd recused himself from scoring her, claiming a potential conflict of interest without explanation. You've been distracted, Marianne noted, taking her seat beside him. Everything all right? Fine, he replied automatically. Just thinking about the scholarship allocations. The house lights dimmed as the final round began. Leonard barely registered the first 3 performances, his mind fixated on what would happen after tonight. Should he tell Tiana immediately? Wait until after the results? Let Monica decide? Next performer, Tiana Brooks with Unspoken. Leonard's attention snapped to the stage as Tiana appeared, wearing a simple blue dress, the color Monica had always loved. The music began, a haunting piano piece that started softly before building in intensity. From the first movement, it was clear this was different from her previous performances. There was a vulnerability, a rawness that transcended technique. She danced as if telling a story only she knew, or thought she knew. In the wings, Monica arrived just as Tiana began, leaning heavily on Deja's arm. Her face was pale, her breathing labored, but her eyes never left her daughter's form on stage. He's here, she whispered. Who? Deja asked. Her father. On stage, Tiana moved through a sequence that captured a lifetime of unsaid things, arms reaching out before pulling back, as if afraid to ask for help. Each movement spoke of resilience, of carrying on despite absence, of finding strength in what remained rather than what was lost. In the judges' seats, Leonard could barely breathe. He saw himself in her extensions, Monica in her turns. She was the physical embodiment of what they'd created together, and then lost. A life that had continued without him, beautiful and determined despite his absence. As the music swelled to its climax, Tiana executed a series of turns that seemed to defy gravity before collapsing into a controlled fall that mirrored the one that had first caught Leonard's attention. But this time, when she rose again, there was something different, a defiance, a declaration that she would rise regardless of who was or wasn't there to help her. The audience erupted into applause as she finished, many rising to their feet. Even Derek, the most critical judge, was standing. Marianne wiped away a tear. Only Leonard remained seated, overcome. This girl, his daughter, had just laid bare her soul without knowing the man she was dancing for was the one who had left the emptiness she'd been filling her entire life. As Tiana took her bows and exited the stage, Leonard stood abruptly. I need a moment. He mumbled to his fellow judges before heading backstage. He moved through the corridor with purpose, rehearsing what he might say. But as he rounded the corner to the green room, he stopped quiet. Through the partially open door, he saw Tiana being embraced by a woman he would have recognized anywhere, despite the years and illness that had changed her. "Mom!" Tiana was saying. "You shouldn't be here," the doctor said. "Nothing could have kept me away," Monica replied, her voice weaker than he remembered but still musical. "You were magnificent, baby. So strong." Leonard stepped forward without thinking, the door creaking open further. Both women turned. Monica saw him first, her face draining of what little color it had left. Tiana looked confused, glancing between her mother and the judge who suddenly seemed unable to speak. "Monica," Leonard finally managed, her name feeling both familiar and foreign on his lips. "You shouldn't be here," Monica said quietly, instinctively moving to stand between him and Tiana. "I think we're 16 years past should, don't you?" Leonard replied, his voice cracking slightly. Tiana's confusion deepened. "Mom? What's going on? How do you know Mr. Langford?" Monica took a shaky breath, steadying herself against a chair. "Leonard and I knew each other a long time ago. Before you were born." Understanding began to dawn on Tiana's face, her eyes widening as she looked more carefully at the man standing before them, really seeing him perhaps for the first time. "Is he?" she began, unable to finish the question. Monica closed her eyes briefly before meeting Leonard's gaze with a mixture of defiance and exhaustion. "I never asked you for anything," she said. "Not once in 16 years. I didn't want her to be your obligation." "She never was," Leonard replied, his eyes never leaving Monica's. "But she should have been my choice." The silence that followed seemed to stretch into infinity. Tiana stood frozen between the two adults, her mind racing to reconstruct 16 years of history in seconds. "I don't understand," she finally said, her voice small. "Are you saying he's my—" "Yes," Monica admitted, reaching for her daughter's hand. "Leonard is your father." Tiana pulled away, her emotions cycling through shock, confusion, and anger too quickly to process. "All these years, you told me he wasn't in the picture. That he wasn't important to our story. I thought I was protecting you," Monica explained. "And us. Protecting me from what? A father? Someone who could have helped when you got sick? When we couldn't pay rent?" Tiana's voice rose, years of struggle suddenly given new context. Leonard stepped forward. "Tiana, your mother made the choice she thought was best. I gave her reason to believe I wouldn't have been there for you." "You don't know that," Monica interjected. "You never knew about her. Because you never told me," Leonard countered, old hurt resurfacing. "You made that decision alone, Monica." "Stop it!" Tiana's sharp command silenced them both. "This isn't about either of you right now. This is about me finding out my entire life has been built on." She paused, struggling for words. "On a story that wasn't even true." A production assistant appeared at the door. "Mr. Langford, they're waiting for the judge's decision." Leonard nodded, suddenly remembering where they were and what was at stake. "I need a moment." When the assistant left, he turned back to Tiana. "I should recuse myself completely from judging your performance." "No," Tiana said firmly, surprising both adults. "I didn't get this far because of any connection to you. I earned my place. Judge me on my dancing, not on our—" She couldn't bring herself to say the word relationship. Leonard studied her face, so like Monica's in determination, so like his own in the set of her jaw. "Are you sure?" "Positive," Tiana replied. "I don't want anything I haven't earned." Leonard nodded, respecting her decision. "We have a lot to talk about. After." As he turned to leave, Monica swayed slightly, clutching the chair for support. Tiana was immediately at her side, the anger in her eyes replaced by concern. "Mom, you need to sit down." "I'm fine," Monica insisted weakly. "Just tired." Leonard paused at the door. "Whatever happens out there, Monica, we need to fix this. All of us." 20 minutes later, the 5 finalists stood on stage under the glaring lights. Tiana kept her gaze fixed forward, hyper-aware of Leonard seated at the judges' table. Her mind was still reeling, but she forced herself to focus on this moment, the culmination of everything she'd worked for. Leonard stood, stepping to the microphone. "Before we announce our decision, I want to speak about the purpose of the Langford Academy Talent Search." The audience fell silent. "When I established this competition, I wanted to find dancers with not just technical skill, but authentic voice. Artists who use movement to tell stories that matter." He paused, his eyes finding Tiana's. "Tonight, we witnessed extraordinary talent from every finalist. But talent alone isn't enough. Great dancers must have heart, resilience, and a reason to dance beyond ambition." Murmurs rippled through the audience as Leonard continued. "Our unanimous choice for this year's scholarship recipient demonstrated all these qualities and more." He opened an envelope, though everyone could tell the formality was just for show. "The full scholarship to Langford Academy, along with the $20,000 prize, goes to Tiana Brooks." The auditorium erupted in applause. The other finalists offered congratulations as Tiana stepped forward, her expression a complex mixture of triumph and turmoil. Leonard handed her the ceremonial envelope, their fingers briefly touching. "There's more," he said into the microphone. "In addition to the standard award, the Academy is establishing a new annual grant for community dance programs, named in honor of our winner. The Tiana Brooks Community Dance Initiative will receive $50,000 annually to support programs like the one that first nurtured her talent." Gasps and applause followed this unexpected announcement. In the wings, Monica pressed a hand to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. After the ceremony, Tiana found her mother waiting backstage with Deja. "Did you know he was going to do that?" Tiana asked. "The community grant?" Monica shook her head. "That was all him. Ms. Brooks." Leonard appeared behind them, holding a smaller envelope. "Tiana, if I could have a moment?" Deja tactfully stepped away, leaving the three alone. "This belongs to you," Leonard said, handing the envelope to Tiana. "It's not about the competition. It's personal." Tiana took it hesitantly. "What is it?" "A letter. And an invitation." Leonard's voice softened. If you're ready to hear my side of the story." "No pressure, no expectations. Just a door that's open whenever you choose to walk through it." Monica studied Leonard's face. "You've changed. 16 years will do that," he replied quietly. "So will discovering you have a daughter who's extraordinary without you ever having helped make her that way." Tiana looked between them, then at the envelope in her hands. "I can't promise anything. I'm not asking for promises," Leonard said. "Just a chance someday." The next morning, as Tiana helped her mother pack for their return to the hospital, she finally opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, a check that would cover all their medical bills and back rent, and a simple note that read, "This isn't because you're my daughter. This is because your mother was right all those years ago. Some things do matter more than ambition." "Are you going to call him?" Monica asked, watching her daughter's face. Tiana carefully folded the letter. "Not yet. But someday." She looked up at her mother. "We have time now. That's what matters." As she tucked the letter away, Tiana felt something she hadn't experienced in years, the lightness of possibilities. Not just survival, but future. Not just dancing to escape, but dancing to become. A legacy reclaimed, on her own terms.